Hey everyone, in this video I'll be showing you the top 5 strongest moves in Palworld's 1.0 update. This update brought a lot of changes to certain moves which we'll be breaking down in this video and covering the best strategies to employ these moves in combat, as there are some that are just a lot better than others. So I'll be breaking this down and I'll be grouping some of these attacks up into groups, as there's some that are much like each other. And one quick thing to mention is that if you use a skill while you're mounted on your pal and then immediately hop off of them, it's going to give them, like, they have separate cooldowns for all their attacks whether you mount them or are not mounted, so you can see that our pals will end up doing the same attacks here. And another pro tip, my Wraith here will allow you to get your partner's active skill cooldowns reduced by 60% when you defeat an enemy. And a lot of areas in this game will have multiple enemies that you can take down, and the enemies or the boss fights that don't typically have one of the moves here that'll actually cheese that fight. And for the purposes of this video, I won't be covering exclusive skills to pals, but I may do a video in the future if you'd like to see something like that. Now, there are a lot of moves in this game, that's why I'm going to condense a few into a single entry here, but I'm just going to give one quick honorable mention, or I guess two quick honorable mentions. One being Airblade. This is a neutral skill, so it's not really super effective against anything here, but it's a consistent move that has 160 base power and an 8 cooldown, so it's a spammable move, and it still benefits from things like Serenity, which will reduce the active skill cooldowns as well. And for something that is pretty similar to Airblade, Multi-Cutter, the grass move. This also applies Ivy covered, 8-second cooldown, 180 power, and very similar here, or 160 base power, and you shoot this off really fast. So to show you, here is Multi-Cutter, and just pressed it right now. That's how fast it comes out. Airblade's also really great because you shoot off multiple projectiles there, so it can actually just blast away. But the thing is, they are both short cooldown moves, so you can spam them. Even better if you have a target frozen, because you can get them close and then use something like those moves there, and they just hit really hard. Airblade is a really fun move here, just especially if you can like barrel stuff with it and do a ton of damage that way. And then Multi-Cutter fires off quickly. And another thing quickly about the moves is that some of them are great against large enemies, some of them are great against smaller enemies, and I'll try to distinguish between them, but there's a lot of factors that come into all of these moves here. And I do want to quickly mention Psychogravity. This is a skill that you get from beating the final boss on hard mode. I won't include it, I'll just maybe just throw it as an honorable mention. It's great, also a defensive move because it throws enemies up into the air, but I feel like this is unfair to put it on a top 5 list right now when this is like you have to clear the hardest content in the game to be able to get this move. So to be fair to the other moves, I'm just going to leave this as an honorable mention. And this is what Psychogravity looks like. It does have a bit of a cool, or like a warm-up time, so it's going to send enemies flying. It does not work properly against boss types, as they are like immune to that, but it still does a considerable amount of damage. And since we took out a lot of enemies with Wraith, we're able to spam it then again. And this is really good. As you can see, we're on the hard mode boss there. So any type of way to be able to stop a boss is great. That's why Freeze is such a powerful ability here. But yeah, you got this skill. Again, hop off its back, let it do its powerful skills again. As you saw, it was on cooldown, and we just went ahead there with blasting away with it again there. So yeah, you can get them back pretty quickly. And just like that. But for 5th place, this move is actually extremely good in a lot of situations. Thunder Rail. If you played prior to the 1.0 update, this move used to have 200 base power with a 60-second cooldown. So not only do they triple the damage of this, they also reduce the cooldown by half. So it went from 60 to 30 seconds. An insane ability. It also has Electrify, which is great at applying. It fires off multiple projectiles here. The only problem is it is only naturally learned by 4 pals. The rest of them on this list are accessible to most pals, but this is one that like Azurmane can get, for example. Slowat and Snock, new pals in 1.0, also can get Thunder Rail as natural, and you can breed for it, and Puffled as well. But yeah, you're likely going to want to try and breed for this move. But don't worry, there are other electric type moves that are also incredible. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Lightning Bolt here, All Range Thunder and Thunderstorm, and even some of the others like Thunder Strike and Thunder Streak. Lightning Strike and Lightning Strike. Now what makes Thunder Rail so good is you're going to automatically apply the Electrify status on that enemy there, so you can see we got him stunned, which is just incredible. And yeah, the damage it does is quite considerable too. So being able to automatically apply Electrify on the first attack there is obviously really good. Azurmane's other moves are kind of annoying because it just has it running around endlessly, so it just makes things a little bit more challenging there. But yeah, with Azurmane, this skill is just really, really good. So it's one that you want to use. Thunder Rail is an incredible move. It's easy to aim. You have those 3 bolts there that fire off at the enemy. So yeah, you can see there, it does some pretty insane damage. Now in fourth place is a move that is much more broad across a lot of different pals. Blizzard Spike. A lot of them can learn this from fruits as well. This is going to create a large projectile and it's going to hit in a large area of effect, and the first projectile will have a 100% chance of freeze, which is incredible because you can freeze enemies out of their attacks. This works against bosses as well, and freeze also just lets you set up with some other moves here, like you can get in close to a bear blade barrel stuff, for example. But 1.0 was very kind to this move because it had the freeze originally, but its original power, instead of having 450, it was 130, and its cooldown was 45 seconds, reduced down to 20 seconds. This got a huge glow up, and it's an incredibly powerful move on any type of PAL. Also, just want to remind you guys, if you don't know, same type of attack bonus is only 20%, so Dark and Dragon types for Hydrolon here only get a 20% boost, which is nice, but don't be afraid to put other types of moves on your pals. So yeah, Blizzard Spike's incredible because you can get a insta-freeze. That didn't happen that time, but most times you'll get the freeze. If you didn't get it the first time, you can always try again in a moment, as it has a very, very large hitbox, so it can be really nice for that. So we'll try the freeze again here. You do have to aim the skill, so we're going ahead for the freeze again, and there we go, we got it. So that's really nice because that allows you to prepare another attack. If you have a long cooldown or a long charge up for attack, you can use that. Or you can set down some of these attacks that are a little bit like greater if you're close up. There's actually a lot of moves in this game that do an insane amount of damage if you're very close to the enemy. For example, like Volcano Rain. Lightning Strike's another one. So there's actually a lot of moves that you can just get really close and do damage, and freeze helps out with that. Now, if you like Blizzard Spike, you'd probably imagine double Blizzard Spike is better. Well, it's actually not. Blizzard Spike ends up being better, especially with like things like Serenity. Reducing cooldowns allows you to spam these moves a lot quicker and do a lot more damage. Double Blizzard Spike's still not a bad move, but the singular one is, in my opinion, in 1.0 better. Now in third place, we have Wind Burst. This is a new skill that got added, and it's actually funny. The fruit that you get it from is from the arena, and it's called Wind Blast, but it's Wind Burst. Now what this does is it has a 60 pace power attack, 30-second cooldown. It can apply Ivy Covered. It is a massive area of effect, one of the largest in the game, and it hits 10 times. It does have quite a large wind up time here, so you can see that. But it's great because you're hitting all those enemies in the area of effect. So with Maraith's skill, we got our skill back immediately here. Now, this actually shines in a few other places, and I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about, because Ivy Covered's nice if you have fire-based attacks, because you can use Ivy Covered, double up the fire damage against an enemy. So that pairs well with some other moves. But yeah, one thing about Wind Burst is that you can actually pair this with some pals and destroy the arena. And it's actually such a good move that we can actually solo the hardest arena here with triple Dandalord. And the best part is, we don't have to do anything. We can just AFK this entire time. You can see them charge up the Wind Burst, which is going to do insane amounts of health damage to the enemies there. Yeah, and if you don't get frozen here. So yeah, that is one downside that can occur. But Wind Burst is just so insanely powerful. And with a particular setup, I'll have a video on my channel where I show how to possibly do this. Some good combos with this in the arena, for example, is using like Xiao Long's move, because it can use the Celestial Vortex, which pulls everything together, and then you can just drop a fat Wind Burst on everybody all at once. But the damage it deals is extremely good. And just like that, we get the win. I didn't even have my min-maxed ones there, but you get the idea. And in second place, I'm actually going to condense 3 moves into one, because they all do the exact same thing, and their numbers are a little misleading here. So we got Apocalypse, which is a dark type move, 40 base power, 20-second cooldown, applies blind. Sand Twister, 50 base power, 24-second cooldown, applies Muddy. And Circle Vine, 30 base power, 16-second cooldown, applies Ivy Covered. Where these really shine is against large bosses, because they are multi-hit attacks. Now, these destroy Panthalus, these destroy the final boss, they destroy anything that is huge, and they're also good against single targets too, despite not having the same damage output. So you can see it in action here. This is absolutely destroying Astrolum with a single attack. And he accidentally cast off Apocalypse there. So the crazy part about this is it's a multi-hit attack, so it's going to end up hitting the boss over and over. And it does some pretty silly stuff against any of these large bosses here. So you can see the amount of damage that's just piling up there. It was immune during that, but as soon as we were able to damage it, the health bar just got completely melted. So yeah, that's a crazy thing about this, is it's just so damaging. And then again, we can hop onto its back here and cast these down ourselves. These will also destroy Panthalus. They just are very powerful against bosses that are large in size, because they just hit so many times. So yeah, that's why I'm putting these in second place. They're all extremely powerful. Use them against a large boss and you will see they're just so crazy strong. And now for the best move in Palworld, in my opinion, Lightning Streak, oddly enough, extremely powerful. From prior to 1.0, this had a 16-second cooldown and only did 75 base power. So it got half the cooldown now with only 8 seconds, and its power has been increased 160 here. This has a pretty fast charge time, it does a lot of damage, and you're likely getting this back really fast. So you can pair this with some longer cooldown moves and weave it in between them, and I think that's where it really shines. It is also really good at applying the electrify status, so you see there it shoots in a straight line. It's pretty easy to land that attack as well, which is what makes it really good, so you can use that. And then we're using our Apocalypse again here. In between a casting Apocalypse, we got that back, so that is the crazy part about that, is you just have this move basically to spam. It does considerable amounts of damage. Electrify is a pretty solid status effect. You can pair that up with any type of water move, because as soon as you have that electrify symbol beside their name, that's going to make all water type damage do double the amount of damage. So yeah, it's a spammable move that's just really strong and got a huge glow up in the 1.0 update, which makes it very serviceable. It also hits multiple enemies too, so that is great. And enemies can get soaked pretty easily in this game, so yeah, it's just good in every single setup pretty much. And while it won't hit the highs of like Thunder Rail, for example, the fact that you can spam this move so quickly and use some other moves, even Thunder Rail if you wanted to, just make it very dependable. There's some moves in this game that have a short cooldown that are really good, but I would say this is by far the best one. Wind Cutter is nice as well. It's kind of funny, lightning, grass, and ice type skills seem to be some of the best in the game, but we also have some very powerful ones that I do, like there's a lot of honorable mentions, like Geyser Gush we could throw in a mention for. We could also talk about things like the Diamond Rain, which is more RNG focused. Absolute Frost, another really great one. Lance Impact, Rock Burst. If you hit this at close range, it does a lot of damage. We also have things like Poison Shower, and there's even Poison Fog, 100% chance of poisoning. Dark Wisp is another solid enough move. Beam Slicer and Blast Can are two awesome dragon type moves. Dragon actually has a lot of great stuff in general, and even things like Meteor Rain, which is a little bit harder to get, but huge. It can clear bases quickly. So there's a lot of really good moves. It all just depends, but I try to make these as across the board as possible. But let me know your thoughts in the comments, because there are a lot of good moves in this game. I may do a video where I break down like the top 3 of each type. I think that'll be a little bit easier than a top 5, but let me know your thoughts though in the comments. Subscribe if this video is useful, and we'll catch you all in the next one.